shot of soul.
This is Bass Talk Live. Your host, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Monday, everybody. Actually, it is Tuesday. We are kicking off the week again on a Tuesday. Man, that's the second time in 2 weeks I've screwed that up. I had Monday on the mind.
Wow.
I got a lot of stuff going on, dude.
Like what?
I have training today. It's
For
school.
yourself?
No, it's school.
What do you train? Like sports training or like
No,
class training?
I have class training. I have scoreboard training. We're getting a brand new scoreboard, $120,000.
Are you going to
this
have any
scoreboard.
Games that the scoreboard will be used in? That's the big question.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out soon. As of today, yes. The OSSAA has said the season will go on as planned. They put a lot of, stipulations and protocols and all that in there. Anyway, it is Tuesday, folks. I apologize. We have a great show today. We're going to have Mark Zona on live from the Bassmaster studio. And a lot to talk about, a lot going on this week. And Matthew, I am very excited about some of the statistical data that you're going to have for the show today.
Yeah, we're going to, the Elite Series obviously is wrapping up. Actually, they're right in the middle of their practice on Lake Champlain, and the FLW Pro Circuit is wrapping up their practice on the Mississippi River out of La Crosse. I will venture to say there are way more people that are getting stuck in La Crosse than are on Champlain.
Yeah.
The trend of boats stuck on large flats in the river continues. It's been a very interesting social media week because guys roll up on other guys who are stuck and then say, haha, you're stuck, and then post videos of it. I've seen Boom Boom walking his boat around like a dog on a leash.
Yeah.
See Justin Atkins out there stuck.
You know what that's
Dean
all
Rojas
about.
stuck. Josh Douglas, like dead Ed, having to back up like a mom. I mean, it's everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good time. But not so much that on Champlain.
No. A mixed bag is what you are predicting.
Yeah, well, no. I think it will be one-on-one, probably one species, but I think that there will be smallmouth bags and largemouth bags that are in the top 5.
Okay.
Top 5, top 10. There's too many good smallmouth fishermen, and remember Champlain there. Those smallmouth are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The last couple of times we went, remember it was you could catch a lot of largemouth, win on largemouth, and supplement it with smallmouth. But now there's a lot of those 4 to 4.5 pound smallmouth in there. But I think Ty's on too, just based on some of the stuff that I've heard.
Yeah.
So that, we've seen what can go down in Ticonderoga, and your crack weather statistics from yesterday shows that they probably will be able to get down to Ticonderoga.
Yeah. The wind is supposed to not be brutal. A 10-mile-an-hour wind on making that run to Ticonderoga could be a little rough, but very manageable.
I'm very optimistic in this one for selfish reasons, I guess. So the Elite Series is there. What is on the Elite Series? Several anglers that are sponsored by soft plastics company Big Bite Baits.
Yeah.
What just came out? The BFE.
Yeah.
What could play in Ty? Punching, flipping, the BFE. You never know.
Yeah.
So, not so much last week.
Did you see the big announcement yesterday?
Yes, the BTL color.
Yes.
Bass Talk Live. It's I think June bug on one side and then black on the other side, and then a chartreuse streak down the middle kind of swirled in. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
Is available now on the Big Bite Baits website.
Yes.
And it's also at Lucky Lure.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, in Oklahoma City.
Very nice. And then soon to be at Tackle Warehouse.
Yeah. I don't know how they're doing that on the colors. I'm assuming it'll be at Tackle Warehouse. Yeah.
Well, it says coming soon.
Oh,
I
okay.
believe.
Yeah.
So that's
but
cool.
Yeah.
Man.
So I love the fact that there's a bunch of guys who've been tagging, Big Bite, me, and Brad with their BFE catches, and I love seeing those.
That's cool.
Guys winning jackpots. catching
the
fish in
BFE.
tournaments and BFE. So, I mean, if you're catching them on it, by all means, post it and tag me and Brad. We'd love to hear about it and how you guys are fishing it and what your thoughts are on it.
All right, make sure you use your personality to get some BFL or BTL. Geez, I am losing it today. BFE's BTL colors that we can give away maybe next week.
Okay. Yeah,
right.
Josh, I did get your email, and those packages went out last week, so I'll have to check on yours after the three packs that all the guys won. So you should have had those already because I know guys have already gotten them.
Yeah. All right. We're also going to have, besides Mark Zona on here in about 20 minutes, we're going to have John Sukup on, which is the man behind the Bass Tank.
Yeah.
And we're going to have him on just for a few minutes. They're doing some stuff. I have no idea. Some lake, either in Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas. I don't know really where they're at. But next Wednesday, we're going to have him in studio. And folks, you're going to be able to ask John anything you want about electronics. It doesn't matter. Lowrance, Garmin, Humminbird, whatever you got. If you have an electronics question, you're going to be able to ask John. And if he doesn't have an answer for you, he will get an answer, Matthew.
Yeah, the Bass Tank is quickly becoming one of the go-to, if not the, for electronics as far as they're certified dealers for all these companies. You see this, they actually sponsor Bass Talk Live, but I've known John fish against him in the Bass Nation for, 10 years now. He's a really good angler himself, but he kind of went the electronics route, and then they're developing all sorts of components, mounts, stuff for graphs for all the different companies, as well as kind of becoming experts. And then you can actually have all your stuff installed in the Bass Tank. I know there's guys from Wisconsin and Tennessee that drive to Tulsa to have it installed, but they also ship through their website all sorts of accessories and units for all of the major brands. And man, he knows his stuff. I mean, literally, you got in my boat the other day and messed around with the Lowrance, the mapping and the setups on that on the 2D, and got up front and hit all these buttons. And I was like, oh, that looks a lot better. So
yeah,
he's the man. So he'll be on for 5 minutes. I think he's actually going to be live today on Jason Christie's
hopefully
Facebook page, weather depending on that.
Yeah.
So we're just going to get him on for 5 minutes to kind of talk about what he's going to be in studio next week. And then
Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Week. Yep.
And then we'll get to Mark Zona, who is, he's a Champlain expert. He really is.
He's got a little experience.
I mean, I
on
know
the
he's at
body of
Michigan,
water.
but he knows how that lake sets out. I mean, he's cashed, he's done $30,000, $40,000 on Lake Champlain in his tournament career.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
That it is. And you're going to bring up some statistical data.
Well, we did it with, we talked about
performance.
Tommy Sanders, and we had Pete Glusick on, so it's only fair to go back. Why do you think people like the old school going back in the archives? Have you noticed that? You get Larry Nixon talking about it. What do you think that is about the nostalgia of the old days that people find so intriguing in the fish, and me included, in the fishing world?
It's that way with anything.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's that way in bowling. It's that way in a lot of the football stuff, baseball, same thing. I don't know. I'm just one of those guys that love the nostalgia and the accomplishment. Here's one of the things that I really admire, all right, from a fishing standpoint, from a bowling standpoint, from a golf standpoint, is the ability to win and be successful without the technology that is available today. And I've said that on this show before many, many, many times. The amount of just natural ability that comes out, not due to the electronics, not due to the golf clubs or the golf ball. Persimmon wood driver. You ever hit a persimmon wood driver, Matthew? Do you know how difficult it is to hit a drive with a persimmon wood driver?
Is that the one that's got the metal plate that's on the front of it with the wood on the back?
No.
It's just all wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. That was high-end. The persimmon wood driver was the high-end technology of that time. So there were people back then who were saying, oh, well...
actually, the persimmon wood driver had been around for 50 years.
I know, but I'm just saying there had to be shaft advancements or grips.
No, it was the same thing.
It wasn't the exact same thing for 100 years.
It went from wood to steel, basically. And it was a steel shaft for a zillion years. The advancement in technologies in all sports over the last 20 years is not comparable to the advancements that were made from, say, 1955 to 1975.
So you're saying for 20 years the driver was the exact same, and
Pretty
there wasn't
much.
anybody or any company out there that was like, hey, let's try to make a driver better. We're just
it was
happy
the
with
same-
it for 20 years?
Dude, it was the same thing. It was about selling to the golfer based upon the marketability of what they were selling. In other words, if it was more appealing, the consumer would probably buy it. But from a performance standpoint, that's pretty much the same. All right? Pretty much the same.
So then everyone still had the high-end performance. Is what I'm saying is I think
but the technology is different, dude. It's different.
So what you're saying is the advancement in technology is so fast that that for a time period it trumps the individual skill level, where the skill is outdone by the technology because how fast it advances. Until everybody's on the same playing field, you're going to have people that are beating people that are more talented just because they're more cutting edge on the technology front.
Yes. And Trump is not the right word. All right. It's being able to take advantage of the technology that's available because of the advancement of technology. Right? You just admitted it at the beginning of the show.
No, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just trying to understand what
when
you're
John
saying.
went up to the front of your boat and pressed all these buttons, you didn't know. You were like, oh, wow, man, that looks a lot better. Well, he has the advantage of knowing what the technology does.
Yeah, but I look at that as
you-
skill for him to take the time to do that.
Exactly. But that's what the equipment has and the options that the equipment has that are available to the individuals. Back in the 70s, from 65 to 75, even through maybe 1980, the technology was pretty much the same. There were slight advancements, but the advancement in technology in all aspects of sports has been just raceful over the last 10, 15 years.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
You see what I'm saying?
No, I agree with that.
All right. I think it's time to go to John. I think we have him. Let's see here.
We'll see if Jason showed up on time.
Yeah.
Well, he's supposed to be there in 2 minutes. Oh, is
You
that
guys
Jason?
there? What's up, guys?
He doesn't
No,
want to
that's-
get too close to me.
Oh,
What's up, Jason? What's up, John?
How are you
How you
guys?
doing?
Doing good. All right, John, what do you have going on, man?
We're gonna go out here and smash like 30 pounds today. That's what we're really trying to do. we're going live on Jason's page at noon, and we're coming out here to do a little bit of live scoping videos. We're wanting to teach people about how that you can catch bass with live scope, and so we got some content we're trying to shoot. But for the most part, we're going to do some giveaways. Jason's got some creative ideas and some giveaways. Got a signed jersey, a really cool jersey he brought here. So we're gonna do a giveaway on that. You know, kind of one of those guess the weight things. We're gonna make it up as we go. We're just gonna have fun at noon.
Yep.
So,
All right.
We
Very
got here
cool.
3 hours early. I was gonna get some footage with the Verb, and I opened my Verb, and I don't have an SD card. And
I knew that was coming. So here's the deal. So after the one-on-one with Jason Christie, I said, hey, send me your address. I'll send you back the SD card. And then I got no response for 3 months. And I figured, well, I guess Jason just doesn't want me to know where he lives. I didn't know I gave off that creeper vibe, but apparently I just. So then I saw him at the river, and he was giving me the eyeball at the river. So I let him know, hey, I still got it. I'll send it to you. And then I hadn't sent it to him, so then he emailed me. So it's in the mail, Jason.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, I know it's in the mail, but I mean there's. Just be careful on who looks at that chip when you open it up. First of all, there might be a couple. You never know what could be on there.
Wow. All right. John, we're very excited. You're going to be in studio next Wednesday, and we kind of teed it up a little bit. You're going to be able to answer a lot of the fans' questions. It doesn't matter what electronics they have, be it Lowrance, Garmin, Humminbird, whatever it is. We're going to get some interaction with the fans. We're excited to have you in studio, man.
yeah, it'll be fun.
All right, so Jason, your Instagram or Facebook page at noon?
Facebook. You know,
Fa-
we're shooting for noon. There's some rain coming in. It may be plus 30, minus 30 minutes, but it'll be around noon time.
All right, that's great. And if you have the ability to get in a boat with, and like I said before, with John Sukup, any of the guys on the Bass Tank, even if you think you know your electronics, it's impressive as hell. You guys haven't been in the boat, have you, Jason?
Nope, we have first
Dude,
time.
the guy will hog the trolling motor. He'll get in the front right there, and it's amazing
that's
how
what
much.
God gave me these big boots.
It's amazing how much he will tinker with that thing.
Hey, I have one of those stickers by my trolling motor that says social distancing, stay back 6 feet.
Wow, that's pretty cool. All right, John, we're gonna let you go, but as I mentioned, very excited about you being in studio next Wednesday. Jason, man, be safe and have fun today.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Gotta
guys.
be good.
See you,
right,
John.
see
See you,
ya.
guys.
All right, that's pretty cool. So make sure you check out Jason Christie's Facebook page, and that's coming up around noon.
And also go follow the Bass Tank on all their social media accounts. They're actually doing a number of different video series on electronics and some of the new stuff that they have coming out. Crappie fishing, bass fishing, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well, you make a great point that people are driving to the location of the Bass Tank to get their stuff installed because it is complicated now.
yeah.
The whole process of linking everything up and networking and getting everything dialed in becomes very, very
Can you
complicated.
could you do that?
Oh,
Okay,
hell,
so listen, you
no.
get two Lowrance lives. You got the 9-inch at the bow of the boat, and
Yeah.
you've got the 12-inch HDS live at the dash, right?
Yeah.
If someone was, and they're not communicating with each other. If someone was to say, Jeffries, go link those two units, so when you hit something at the bow, it matches on the dash.
Yeah.
Could you do that?
Yeah, probably, but it would take me a few minutes. It would take me a couple of minutes to
I
be able to
would
do
just
that.
have a blank look. Like I know what I want it to look like, but I mean, I just have not. I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I could probably do it. Now, the whole installation process, that's totally different.
Yeah, and that's what they know as far
Yeah.
as like direct wiring it and stuff for clarity, and then
Yeah.
the maximum power and all that. So
There is definitely a need, and I think they found a niche that is really required by a lot of people out there that have spent a lot of money on electronics, but they got to make sure that, number one, they're installed properly, number two, that they know how to use them properly, and number three, how to really use them to catch more fish.
at the Open, and I know Jacob Wheeler is not the first person to have all three, I guess, major brands of units on the bow or the dash of his boat. I think Randy Haynes has had multiple units like that, guys in the past, a lot of offshore guys. But I saw 3 or 4 rigs at the Open just waiting to blast off, like waiting for my number to be called,
Yeah.
that had all 3.
Huh.
Yeah, it was, and I had never actually seen one in person before. And then obviously we see it. But I mean, you're looking at $20,000 worth of stuff.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah. But
It's a lot.
still got to know how to use it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, real quick, I want to let everybody know next week I'm actually working. It has been suggested multiple times. I received emails from people about you need to get Bub Tosh on the show.
I agree.
All right, so I'm going to work on that next week.
Do you have the beep? Do you have that button dialed in yet on the new software?
No,
I feel like if we go 25 minutes with Bub Tosh, that might
he'll be fine.
Might need to be utilized a few times.
No, so I'm going to try and get him on the show next week, and he can talk about his win on Clear Lake at the California Open and anything else that's going on out on the West Coast. So I'll be working on that for Monday or Tuesday. The next thing I want to mention, and then we're going to take a break, come back with Mark Zona. I did receive numerous emails yesterday. Those people that sent me emails for the watch party on Thursday, I will be sending emails to you either this afternoon as responses with the video link, of which all you got to do is click on it, make sure your microphone and headset is engaged, and then you will be placed in the queue and you will be able to join myself and Mark Menendez on Thursday for the watch party. It's going to start at 9 a.m. Now, if you have not sent me an email and you want to be a part of the watch party on Thursday, please send me an email, mark@basshone.com. I will respond to that email with the video link that is only going to be available for the watch party on Thursday. and we'll have a good time with that, Matthew.
Awesome. I don't think we even mention yesterday that Chris Johnson is the first Canadian to ever win an Elite Series event.
I think you did.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. Real cool.
Surprising. Would you not say? I mean, I guess there just hasn't been many opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had that conversation with Mercer before about how many sticks that actually fish for bass in the country of Canada. Here's a question, a little bit of research. Has he ever won the Canadian Open?
Yeah.
Multiple times?
Yeah, I think they've won it like 75 times.
So you think he has any interest, and we're going to try and get him on once things
maybe not.
settle down, whether or not he has any interest in fishing the U.S. Open.
Yeah, he's won it. I mean, I think they win it whenever they want to.
So a Canadian Open
2018, the Kingston Canadian Open 2013.
Yeah, that was a dumb question. All right, Canadian Open win, Elite Series win, U.S. Open win. Nobody's ever done that.
No. Well, those are three random.
But still, Charlie Hartley had a chance at it.
Yeah.
He's a Canadian Open champion.
Yeah. I mean, well, the guy who could still have the fullest resume is Hackney.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
what's left on the Grand Slam?
The Elite, the Classic.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then he can go after the Canadian Open and the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
I mean, what else would there be then?
Not much.
Besides a Wednesday night, like Thunderbird
much.
Wednesday night championship.
Yeah, not much at all. So, I don't know. So I will do everything I can to try and get Bub Tosh on next week. And he's been on quite the run, too. Won the U.S. Open, 2 years ago?
2018.
Yeah. So we will work toward that. All right, we're going to take a break, come back with Mark Zona here on a Tuesday, not a Monday. Got a little mixed up there in the beginning of the show.
Boy, you look at Zona's pictures from back in the day.
Yeah.
He's like, he ages well. Like, he still looks the exact same. Pictures from 2000, the late 90s.
All right. I have a few questions related to some of the things from the past for Mr. Mark Zona. So we'll get to him here in a few minutes after these breaks. Everybody, stay tuned on a Tuesday.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. The best fish finding tools, from chirp sonar and fish reveal to side scan and down scan imaging, and complete touchscreen control from your trolling motor to your big motor.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need a 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
Professional angler, you've got so many things on your mind. Any advantage that we have is key. And not only rods and reels and lines and baits, but in our clothes. And the guys at AFCO, they have something for every situation. There's nothing AFCO hasn't thought about with the fishermen in mind. It's designed for fishermen, by fishermen, for every scenario you can come to. Any fish, any water, any condition, AFCA has you covered.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Luz doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Hey everybody, Todd Faircloth here. Want to show you one of my favorite braided lines, SX1 30-pound Sunline braid. I use this braided line for a couple of different applications, and one of my favorites to use for this line is a swim jig. Casts great, and it's small diameter, and it just works really great on a swim jig. Another technique I like to use for 30-pound SX1 Sunline braid is whenever I'm flipping like a light, say an 1/8 to a 1/4 ounce weight in grass, small diameter, I don't lose much action on my worm, just works great in those scenarios. So if you're looking for a braided line for a swim jig or fishing a light Texas rig, check out Sunline's SX1 30-pound braid.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday, ready to go to our special guest, Mr. Mark Zona. And, let's see if I can get him queued up. Mark, you there, man? Mark. I see your hand. You there, man?
Oh, great. He's got no audio. He told us this was going to happen. He told us this was going to happen, Mark.
What is he doing? All right, you there?
He's messing with us now.
He's got no audio? What?
Is he messing with us?
Oh, now he got rid of us.
Oh, he said, so we had him in the queue before the show. And Mark Zona said, Mark, he said, I don't think you understand how little I know about this technology and how amazing it's working now. Do you just want me to stay on? And then we can do it.
With this. He was jacking with
and
this.
then Jeffries was like, oh, no, it's easy. You click one button. And Zona's like, no, I don't think you understand how bad I am at this. And then our worst nightmares came true. But I think we have them.
Yes.
He was jacking with this, man.
Sorry about that.
He was just jacking with this. What did you do?
I'm not gonna lie. I was watching Sports Center Instagram highlights, and I had the mute on right there. Sorry.
See, it's all on you. Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on the show, Mark. We like to have the guys that make it happen on the Elite Series, but with back-to-back weeks, really not a chance to get any of those guys on. So who better to come on and talk about Lake Champlain, and more importantly, talk about the madness that took place at the SLR last week?
Yeah, boy, it was an odd week. Definitely. I looked at Tommy throughout, and you guys know this. You guys have done this since day one, doing live stuff. You're always at the mercy of weather, and then you're also at the mercy of cell service. And we're going to come up with new features. And literally, I was talking to Mike McInnes about this earlier when we were talking before we went live, and I said, is there any chance we can Have you guys seen those slap contests?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If we run into cell service problems on Champlain, we're going to have those in the studio for all of our viewers next week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh my gosh is right. I'm going to take a crack at Such.
Wow.
Well, going into last week, and we'll wrap up the St. Lawrence before we move on to Champlain. But I mean, there were opinions all over the board from all sorts of different people who fish and don't fish on whether 100 pounds would be met. And we saw KVD take a run at it a couple years ago, and then you're looking at it after the first 2 days, and you're like, I mean, Mueller's pretty good at what he does. I don't think he's going to let up, and Chris Johnson's pretty good at what he does. I mean, was this the best chance you think we'll have or have had to hit 100, or you think 100 is just a matter of time?
No, there's no way, Matt. And here's the reason why I say that is to right now, out on Lake Ontario, those fish are actually probably at, we talked about it during the broadcast. Two things. I think a lot of the Elite Series this time around was very inexperienced to understanding Lake Ontario. They were held back in practice with the winds that were there on days 1 and 2 of practice, so they didn't get a lot of time in Lake Ontario. But so I think that held some of those weights lower. The guys that went to Lake Ontario did pretty darn good. But this is notoriously, it doesn't matter whether it's Thousand Islands or Lake Champlain, this is when the fish are a lot more scattered out, and they're probably at their lightest weight of the year, really of the entire year, to where, look, man, if the Elite Series goes to the St. Lawrence River and the lake in September, when bass notoriously used to go there, I mean, I grew up fishing there in September and October. 100 pounds would be a letdown on that body of water.
Mm-hmm. The reason I say that, though, is typically it's out of Waddington. You guys have a great relationship with Waddington. And even if you open up the lake and go out of Waddington, by the time they get out there, their fishing time is so much less that I was thinking this might be the best shot to have the longest amount of time around the biggest fish. And unless that venue moves or there's a tournament where you can fish longer to get 25 pounds of average, it's going to be tough.
See, Tripp's gonna get pissed at me right now, Panger. I love going into the lake because I always think it's an X factor, especially what we got to see in this tournament. The X factor is the weather. If you're one of those anglers that decides that you're gonna revolve your game plan around the lake exactly like Mueller did, Wendlandt did, and Johnston, the savior for the guys that commit to the river is praying that the weather holds those guys back at least maybe a day to where they can't get out there and fish efficiently or get around efficiently. But I always think whenever you go to Lake Ontario or St. Lawrence River, I always think it's a cool factor having that lake, that monster out there, because she can give and she can also take away, not only in the fishing, but in the mechanical side, which we got to see a little bit of that too.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I want to know, Zeke, tell the fans, I was enormously entertained on what was happening on the final day with the rollers and the 6-footers and everything that was happening between the two guys that were battling it out in the lake. But how difficult is it to land a 4 or 5 pound smallmouth and 6-foot rollers?
It sucks, Mark. It sucks to try to land one, and and God bless the camera guys that were out there on the lake, Kafka and Russell and so many others. Here's the thing. It's weird. We talked about this. We talked about this on the broadcast. I've taped 11 shows up on that lake. And one of them I taped in the river. The rest of them are on the lake. I enjoy being out in those elements. My cameraman, Wes Miller, cannot stand going up there. But here's what's interesting is there was not a lot of fish shallow, Mark. There's two populations that live on Lake Ontario, and generally winning populations. One is very, very shallow that you can power fish, that you can 20-pound line, spinnerbait, chatterbait, soft plastic jerkbait, and you can rough talk them. You can land them in 10 to 15 seconds. This time around, that bite really was not there to where you had to go offshore and do the 6-pound and the 8-pound. And what was funny was Mike McInnes, the producer of the show, he's like, guys, I need a little commentary during these 13-minute long fights with these. The problem was there was 100 of those fish catches.
Yeah.
You've been doing this a long time, and I guess we've been covering it a long time too, Mark. And when they go up north, it seems to me there's always 5 or 6 guys over the past decade that are the light line smallmouth guys. And I talked a little bit about this with Mark on the show. You're looking at the roster right now that you have, and there is an abundance, a plethora of anglers who excel up north, who it would not surprise you to win. I mean, it's been a smaller group, but I was saying, I mean, for the Johnsons, Mueller, Gustafson, Cliff Perch, Brandon Polinick, Zaldane, Paquette, Fighter, Jacobson, Shryock. I mean, the guys, Pipkins. Is this the most talented group of, I guess, spinning rod anglers that you've ever covered?
I think that has to go with age, Panger, in all honesty. I think it goes with age and electronics. Okay, I think a lot of the guys that you just don't throw Clifford Perch in there because I think he's almost my age.
Yeah, but his hair, he's got hair like a 20-year-old.
Hey, I heard you say it. He's also aging very well.
Yeah.
But really, if you look at the last decade of professional bass fishing, the younger guys, they have such an advantage on electronics over a lot of the heroes of this sport. They are so much more efficient and so much more effective than a lot of the names that we've covered the last 3 decades doing this. And with electronics goes, generally, you know this, Panger, it goes light line. And I really think that's a trend that you're going to see probably a lot more of the next decade.
Interesting.
And one other thing I'll tell you about that tournament is I think Tommy and I have, just like you guys, we've covered 790 tournaments, the last 20 years. Is in this tournament, I've seen guys with game plans throughout. There's certain tournaments that really stick out in my head, but I was fortunate enough to talk to Chris every night of practice and every night of the event. And it was amazing to watch how he managed his game plan from the mouth of the river out into the lake, and really how he went into that last day and said, I think I know, this is no joke. He said, I think I know exactly where I could catch 21 to 23 pounds, which he did, and get back safely. And if Mueller beats me, Mueller beats me. But what I'm saying is his game plan from practice to when he held that trophy was about as spot on and flawless as I had ever seen in tournaments I had covered before.
All right, I have 3 more questions on the SLR. And then
3?
And then we can
Okay.
move on. A couple of them from the instant feedback. A couple of people want to know, Z, do you think he gets to 100 pounds if the wind doesn't blow on the final day?
He would have scared it. He would have definitely caught more than he did.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. He would have been able to get around, and he had a lot of 2 to 3 fish spots compared to that load that he had right outside of the mouth of the river. So yeah, I think he would have probably approached another 25 pounds. So yes, the more you can get around, generally the more you can get around on Lake Ontario, the bigger your stringer is going to be.
All right, how surprised were you on the largemouth bite? The largemouth coming into play?
I definitely saw this time around because the smallmouth in the river were more scattered. I talked about it with Steve Bowman and Ken Golub, who fishes up there. I actually thought we'd see a heck of a lot more largemouth, but the water was lower this time around. Generally, whether it's Champlain or Thousand Islands, when that water is really high, you'll see a lot more largemouth. That's a staple of New York. Look, that area that Brock Mosley fished, my gosh, I think I fished that stretch from the age of 19 to 33, but I never, in all honesty, I thought he could catch maybe 20 pounds for 2 days, but to do that for 4 days, no, I did not see that coming. So that I guess the average was more of a surprise for 4 days because I didn't think he could do it for 4 days in a row.
All right, and then my final question, what do you think was more impressive? What went down this past week, or what went down the first time that the Elite Series went to Buffalo and the guys were making the long runs?
In what way, Mark?
Just from a performance standpoint.
Is that the one Coda won?
Yeah, the one that Coda won. But, they were making that almost 2 hour run.
Yes, they were making the run down towards, they were even going, they're going towards Barcelona and past Dunkirk.
Yes.
It's to make those runs, and we talked about it actually this in the broadcast. You'd better know you're on them, and the other side is you're not going to make that run unless, but that's the beauty, and I'm being redundant about it. That is the X factor, is knowing that all you need is an hour or two to catch your fish. Now, don't get me wrong, from a broadcast standpoint, it really sucks when a guy's making a 6 hour run. I'm hoping this next week that is, but there's going to be guys going to Ticonderoga this time around, which is not as bad a run as we got to see this last week.
My last question, then we'll put a bow on this. We'll move on to Champlain. Did Chris Johnson give up anything? I mean, the Johnson brothers have been dominant out there. Was there anything that you saw that you went, oh my, in your personal, that that maybe not have even been highlighted, that he pulled some tricks out of the hat that maybe the guys he's been smoking for the past 10 years went, oh, that's how it's done?
What? Yes. Yes. And I'm not going to call out Chris Johnston, but I might as well go ahead and do that. He's a sneaky little monkey. Here's what I'll tell you. He used a lot of baits that are old, some that are very new, but he did not want to get into them. And a lot of the hardcore smallmouth fishermen did not want to let those out. And that is all I'm saying about it right now.
Wow. What does that validate?
Yes.
Yes. Who did we have on where I said, was it Mercer?
Yeah.
I said, the St. Lawrence River, spy bait. I said, black hair jig. I said, stuff that's been around that is now a staple in everyone's box, but wasn't before we went to this. I said, what about this time? And he said, I don't know if anything new. I said, I bet there's some stuff out there that will be used, but he did a good job on live of not giving it up, huh?
His brother had an empty pack of it laying on the floor of his boat, and I said, and I saw it laying on. My children noticed what the pack was. So if you go back and watch the replay, maybe you could pick it up. But I did promise them I would not. Here's what I will say, that he is really good at adjusting his bait. So and look, it's nothing that's like cutting edge techniques or baits. It's a lot of stuff that's been around a long time, but it's the rotation that he would go through when the fish would be conditioned to whatever he was catching them on at the time, which was very impressive.
It wasn't the flatworm, was it? Because if it's a flatworm, that secret's out of the bag, Zoda. I don't know if you.
I don't think it was, Banger.
Oh, okay.
But I know he used. I do know he used that. But I know he used some others.
It's been a running joke on the flatworms.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, I have one last question on the SLR, and then Matt will move on.
Here's what Chris Johnston literally said. Jeffries, you ready?
What's that?
I said, hey, look, we gotta, Sanders and I are going to be in the studio. You got to kind of dial us in on these baits. He's like, you ready? Just tell him whatever you want. I said, hey, Chris, it doesn't really work that way.
Wow. All right, man. Was this one of the greatest home lake advantages in the history of the Elite Series?
Yeah, it was up there. It was
Okay.
up there. You could throw some Jason Christie stuff in there, and you could throw Scott Rook on the Arkansas River back in the day. Heck, you guys remember that major.
Yeah. Tommy Biffle on Fort Gibson.
Fort Gibson, a great point.
Yeah.
This was up there. But you know what was. I could tell before this tournament, Corey and Chris were really pissed off. Chris was still trying to get somehow all of the anglers to be able to fish in Canada. I think up until the day one takeoff, and in all honesty, I think you would have seen the weights well surpass 100 pounds if Canada would have been open. Because those first 3 days, there are certain areas out there near Kong Island that there would have been wicked stringers across the board. So yes, it was a pretty big advantage for those guys.
He did 97 pounds off his C, D, and
You're
E
right.
stuff. That's seriously scary.
You are absolutely right.
It's like when we had Jacob Wheeler on, and he said on Chickamauga, he said, "Oh no, I saved all my best stuff. I didn't want to give it up, and I was leading by so much. I just said I'm not going to give up those holes and just fish my B and C stuff as long as I'm leading."
Yeah,
right.
Crazy
Yes.
stuff. All right, man. Champlain. Obviously, you have a lot of history there. Back in the day. What are your thoughts on this week? How difficult is it going to be doing back-to-backs? And from what you have heard, how are things setting up this week?
You know, it really kind of goes back to what we were talking about the weights from the. I fished tournaments there in July, August, and September, and one of the problems with late July, it's really, I don't want this to sound the wrong way, it's really easy to catch 14 to 16 and a half pounds of smallies, but they are light. They're plentiful, but they're light right now. They're a lot like talking about the light. They're not quite as heavy as the fish at the St. Lawrence and Lake Ontario, but it's really hard. It's really hard this time of year to consistently catch a 19. Look, you have to be in that 19 to 21 pound range on Champlain to compete for a win this time of year. And to me, it's a lot more consistent to do that either with a mixed bag of smallmouth and go for your largemouth later in the day, or going for all largemouth. But to do 20 pounds a day right now solely on smallmouth in 3 weeks, a lot easier than it is right now.
So Ticonderoga, a big factor this week.
No doubt about it, Mark. Yeah, but here's the negative of Ticonderoga. You talk about look, you can get to Ticonderoga. It's not it's ferocious if it's a straight north or a straight south wind or southeast.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with Ticonderoga, and you can go all the way back, to shoot tournaments I was in there or big tournaments that went out of Plattsburgh. The problem with Ticonderoga is 4 days of those big bags. It almost seems like I remember tournaments, a tournament that Timmy Horton won where it stayed consistent the entire tournament. But if you go down there and you focus on frogging or flipping, which is generally what goes on down there, gosh, man, it's hard to do. It's hard to do that 18 to 21 for 4 days because there's usually a lot of division in fish down at Ty.
All right, now Canada is going to be off limits again. How much of a factor is that on Champlain?
A lot of the tournaments, Mark, actually, tournaments that you and Panger covered, a lot of the Canadian water was off limits.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that'll change a lot of the dynamic in this tournament. I really think what you're going to see, I'm throwing out a lot of stuff that actually I'm staring at Tommy Sanders right now, and I got to save a lot of this juice for the 91 hours of programming coming up.
Yeah.
Is I think you're going to see a lot of guys this time around. I think you're going to see a lot of guys try to catch 15 pounds in the morning, pull out a flipping stick, and try to upgrade, which is on the north end. That is a notorious way to upgrade, throughout the 4 days. I think you're going to see a lot of that this time around.
Let me ask you this: you fished it a lot in the late 90s, early 2000s, had a lot of success on it. And some of these guys have been going here for 20, 30 years. You have a natural fishery up north. How much does a fishery like Champlain change because it has grass in it as opposed to rock? Or are the same rock piles and grass lines that were there in 2000 going to play in 2020?
You know what's really strange about what you just brought up right there, Panger, is if you really look at the first time that I'm going to say it was the Bassmaster Top 150. I might have been when Iconelli won. Is that fair?
It sounds
I think it sounds right. There were enormous smallmouth stringers caught in that tournament across the board. It wasn't just one guy or two guys or three guys, but again, it was a late summer event where those fish were at maximum weight. I remember fishing an open where Joe Lucarelli won, where there was really big, consistent stringers caught across the board. Here's the one thing that I'll tell you is different about Lake Champlain from a lot of other smallmouth bodies of water that we go to. You're able to rough talk the smallies there a little bit more than other places that we go where you got to get really, really finessey. Look, you can go out there and do the drop shot, do the Ned rigs and stuff like that. You can do that and catch them, but you can also Carolina rig fish. You can deep jerk bait here and swim baits and stuff like that. That's what makes Champlain a lot different. But here's, I guess that was a really long answer to your question. As much as Champlain changes, by the end of the event, Champlain, for some reason, is always the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what I was asking, because typically it's a unique fishery because it stays the same because it's a natural fishery up north with a lot of rock, but then it also changes like a Florida fishery because the grass is different every single year. So you have differences, but they're all kind of on the same highway. It's like the speed limit changes on the same highway.
Yes, and I'll tell you, I don't know what makes it this way, but I remember it the very first time that I started fishing the North End, 2.5 decades ago. I don't know what it is. A Carolina rig on that body of water. Look, a Carolina rig is not, it's
you're gonna,
not. Well, go ahead.
You're gonna pump Rick Morris's fantasy numbers way up with this,
right?
I mean.
What's really bizarre about it is they bite it better there than anywhere. Like, I can't stand fishing it, but there's a certain way that you fish it there that's really bizarre. You throw it out, you let it get to the bottom, and you just reel it out. You don't pull, the traditional. You throw it out, you reel it on the bottom, and
like
then all of a sudden,
head.
Exactly right. And why that works there compared to other places I've gone, because I've tried it in other places. It's a really stupid technique, but it catches really big ones there.
Okay, so three things here that all could win. Who are you going with if your money's on the line? You going with Steve Kennedy and Ticonderoga, Rick Morris, Carolina rigging with the visor offshore, or Chris Johnson drop shotting smallmouth exclusively on rock piles?
I'm going with Seth Fighter in this one, doing neither of
something else.
Yes. No, I like the tournament. I think this lake, I think Champlain is almost a spitting image of Minnetonka. I really do. I think it sets up identical to that lake. To me, either Cayuga or Champlain is as close to if this makes any sense, a home lake advantage for Seth than really anybody else. But Brian Schmidt's done great up there. Look, selfishly, Sanders and I want to see somebody throwing a frog down at Ticonderoga all week long. I think with everybody that's watching BTL.
Remember what Kennedy
right
was
now.
doing?
Huh?
Kennedy was taking the individual strands out of the tail of his frog and using a paper clip to put the different color strands in, and then he was taking a Sharpie and coloring the top of the frog a different color. It was chaos. I remember that.
Yeah, when he traveled in the RV the last time that we were up there, I walk into his RV and he has probably 15 frogs spread out on his table with a Sharpie, with scissors, with a knife. It looks like he's getting ready to do surgery. And I'm like, Steve, what are you doing? They bite it a certain way. Okay, and he showed me how he was building these frogs specifically for the water chestnut areas that he was fishing down south.
Yes.
It was insane.
I'm just amazed that he actually showed you. Steve is usually one of the most elusive human beings.
Well, he had no choice, dude. They were spread out on the table.
Hey,
they couldn't hide them.
You can ask Tommy Sanders this. And Jeffries, I told you this when it happened. Steve Kennedy was on West Point, end of the tournament. He had a great event, and we were talking to him about how he was catching them in the parking lot. He took his rods in a bundle and ran full speed to his RV to get away from us so we would not see what he would. That is a true story. Yes.
Well, I didn't take a picture of him or anything. I was just mesmerized by what was taking place on the table of that RV.
Oh, that's legendary.
It was crazy.
All old green Corrados and 9 different brands of rods, too.
Yeah.
Dragging them, running full speed, screaming, he doesn't want to talk to us. Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Wow.
Yes.
All right, man. The fans have a few questions, and then I have a couple just from a nostalgia standpoint. A couple months ago, we had Byron Velvick on the show, and I actually got a Michael Jordan jersey from him that ended up just being a Michael Jordan jersey. It wasn't authentic or anything like that. Long story. I'm not even going to go there. But I was perusing and found some photos. Dude, I got to know, do you have any of those old Ranger jerseys left?
Oh my gosh.
Do you?
I thought I sent you one of them, Jeff.
No,
Did I not?
want one. I want one of those old Ranger jerseys if you have one.
I hate to say it. I think my wife threw away the jerseys and all of the tournament trophies from back. I'm not kidding.
The trophies?
Are you kidding me?
She threw away the trophies?
There's the Scorpion. Look, when she gets locked in on if it sits around for more than a year, it needs to be thrown out. It's a golden rule we have in the house. I think a lot of it is gone.
A trophy literally's job is to sit around for more than a year. That's literally what it is built for. Big Dave has made millions of dollars making things that sit around longer than a year.
Yeah, I think she kept like probably a dozen to 20 of them around. But I think the jerseys are all. Mark, I give you my word. If I find one, the one with the big silver sash on it? I'm going to tell you. If I could rewind time and go back to some of those tournaments, it's back before I did studio, I would have complimented one of those jerseys with like a sash, like a purple silk sash with a golden nugget right up to my neck.
A bolo
you know what
tie.
I mean? Not a bolo tie. It'd be more of a scarf.
I got you. I'm looking at one right now, and it is the and I'm sure this was one where they just handed it to you out of the back of the trailer and said, "Hey, you're the Poland weed eater guy today."
And I think I complimented it with a golden rope and a bass. Remember that golden bass nugget leaping out of the water?
The golden bass nugget leaping out of the water.
Yes, it was so Italian by the grace of God.
Oh, that went on the gold chain.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I understand it. You guys up there, but the Youpers and the Northern guys put something on their gold chain. The Scroggins and Bobby Lanes, they just go straight gold chain.
Yes, they go and gold rope. More gold rope.
Yeah, no, I'm a fishing jewelry aficionado.
Yeah, you know what jersey you did send me that I do have is the one where you did the show where it had like 12,000 logos
Calabama.
on it.
Yeah, I think that pissed off a few companies when I did that. Hey, Mark, I have not done that since.
Yeah. Like that legit tick people off?
Oh, somebody.
What, like My Little Pony sue you or something?
Come on, you guys work in this industry.
The unicorn jersey, man. It's right there in the corner over there.
That's right.
Wow. All right. Brian from Lake Norman wants to know, what's the status of the twins going back to college?
Hey. They're going. They're going back to college, and it's a bit of a, it's a little bit scary. It's scary for any parent right now, whether you're if your kid's in school, period. But this is their last year of college, and look, they're adults. I hope they're listening. I hope they go back and they're safe and smart. Do I think they will be? Yes, hoping so. But they're heading back actually 2 days before the Lake St. Clair competition begins. So we'll move them in to their apartment, get them all going, and hope for the best throughout the next year.
All right. A number of people want to know, with the added coverage on ESPN2, has there been more pressure with that? And what has that whole experience been like?
Mike, it's weird. Oh boy, Mark. I remember, I'm staring at Tommy right now. I remember when guys, you remember this. You guys were out on the water doing live coverage, Panger and the legend, Harold Allen, and we used to do remember the hooked up stage for 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Producer back then, Mike McInnes, said, Tommy Z, we're going to go to 30 minutes. I know you're not going to like it. We're going to go to 30 minutes. And I remember complaining with Tommy for the better side of 2 years. Can you believe we went to 30 minutes of coverage? Can you believe that? To now, I give Mike a lot of credit. Mike McInnes has tried a lot of stuff. Steve Bowman, you guys have tried a lot of stuff live. And whenever you do that, it's very, very, to answer that question, it's very scary whenever you do something live. It's a lot, to me, there's a lot less pressure where you can misbehave a lot more just when you're on the internet. When you go to ESPN2, I find myself stuttering and checking up a lot more, making sure, that the wheels aren't completely coming off. But it's been, to me, it's been one of the biggest things that I've seen in the history of. Here's why I say, and I'm not saying that just to. When we got done with the Eufaula tournament, I remember going home, and people that are not in our world, that live brush pile talk and running offshore talk and like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We're nutbags. All of your viewers, anybody on the instant feedback's a hardcore nutbag. That's the world we all live in. But to go home and I'd be, sitting around the lake, and somebody would come up and they're like, boy, how about that Buddy Gross? And I know this human being has never caught a bass in their life. I was like, wow, that's just stuff. I would hear it every now and then in classics that we've done. But for the Eufaula event, really to the St. Lawrence tournament, and now going into Champlain, I really think what Bass and the Mike McInnes and Chase and Bruce have put together. I mean, dude, for not to unnecessary name drop, but for Mike Golick to text me the first morning, they do Golick and Wingo simultaneously, like when we're covering, he's like, man, give me a name for this event. I'm going to throw out some stuff. I mean, he picked, good call. He picked Chris Johnston on Thursday last week at 9 a.m, and I texted him on Sunday. I said, you look like a genius right now. But that it's a viewer, it's a sports fan. Look, it's not a housewife. But it's a sports fan viewer that I think we're exposing to a hardcore sports fan viewer that may never have watched a tournament where you're talking about gobies and brush piles and 360 imaging. So I think it's helped in a big way.
All right, man. You good on time? I got to make sure you're good on time.
Hey, Jeffries, I'm here till the end of Champlain, so we can go on for hours.
What do you do the rest of the day today? Like, what's your game plan?
I hang. There you go.
So now, you came in the studio just for the BTL interview.
Yeah, and Mark and I kind of got into it. I was hoping to do this at the Residence Inn, and Mark's like, no, you go to... And here's the best part of that, Panger. You ready?
Yeah.
Mike McInnes has worked in this studio. I got here, Mike was here, and nobody else. I pulled in, and Mike's been here for 40 years. I've been here for 20. So combined, there's 60 years in this building. Neither of us knew how to turn on the lights in the studio. What?
That's
Neither
crazy.
of us knew how to turn the lights on in the studio. I'm not joking.
That's pretty funny. That's
really.
pretty funny. All right, man. I had a couple people. I had a bowling tournament this past Saturday. I had a couple people, actually more than two, really kind of asked me questions about the stuff that was being aired on ESPN from a fishing standpoint. They knew I was involved with it. They were watching it. They were actually kind of intrigued by it. But I had an interesting question from a guy who was my age. Said, do you ever think that sports betting will happen on professional bass fishing?
That's what I've been looking for on my phone.
Matt and I have had this discussion on the show.
Did you read this?
What are your thoughts, Mark? Do you think that a sports book will ever take lines or picks on professional bass fishing?
If the world keeps going the way it is right now, I would say 1,000% yes. I really believe that. You know, if we look, people are going to bet on it. I hate to say it, Mark, you've been a trendsetter for the last 20 years in this. And I think you guys were the ones that started the odds on. By the way, boy, that would rile up some anglers back in the day, wouldn't it? When you guys would throw those
the
odds.
wives.
Just so you know, I would go behind your back and I would purposely stir some of those anglers up. And I was like, can you believe what that Jeffries put you on?
Those were the days. Those were the days when the anglers' wives were most upset over Jeffrey's odds. Yeah. That was what they were on there. Those were the days. Those
days have never left, my friends.
Yeah. Can I read this? Can I read this comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
And this is just a listener on on YouTube, and I'd been looking for. I couldn't remember what social media platform this comment had come through.
Yeah.
It's from Lloyd. And Lloyd said, I would love to see you guys research betting on bass fishing in Vegas. I have a coworker I talk a lot to, so he knows I love bass fishing. He was in Vegas on last Thursday, and he sent me a picture of the Bassmasters on ESPN2 at a sports book saying you can bet on it.
Wow.
He didn't look into the betting lines or how they were set up because he didn't know enough to gamble, even though I told him to bet on the Johnson brothers. Now, who knows? I don't know what the validity. That's just a comment. I mean, we could also, you could get on there and say Jeffries hates the Carolina rig, which obviously would not be true, but it would still be a comment on there. So I don't know the validity to that, but I found it very interesting.
Yes, we obviously here in the studio we do not promote gambling, yet I think we pretty much in the studio bet on every single tournament anyway. We do that big time at the Classic. But it's all just for fun. It's for fun. No monetary gain.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So is Tommy
still
there?
Just so you know, Tommy is still here. And I got to tell you something. I got to throw Tommy a little bit of love on this. We always bet. We write down on a napkin at the Classics, winner and weight. Okay. Tommy has frighteningly nailed the Bassmaster Classic Panger to the ounce. To the ounce. He called, I can't remember which one. Tommy, which one was it? Toho. To the ounce he nailed it. And he's almost done it like 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
But Tommy's a very intelligent person.
Impressive.
A lot of times I don't understand how he's surrounded by us. So, right.
Hey, when we had him on the show, we found out a lot of stuff about Tommy that a lot of people didn't know that I didn't know. But some fans want to know, what is one thing about Tommy Sanders that you can tell us that nobody else really knows?
Tommy's going to get pissed at me saying this. Tommy inside the studio is the most professional, high and tight human being I've ever been around in my entire. I will tell you, he is you guys know he's the best at what he does. I have gotten Tommy's car. I've gotten Tommy's boat. Outside of this studio, he is a disheveled, hot mess. He just yelled, true. There was one time I got in his car. There was a fork, a half-eaten porterhouse, and a billy club on the floor of his car. That is it. Yes. A lot going on there, bud. There's a lot with golf clubs in the back. You know what that means right there? Dude is ready for something. Ready.
We asked Tommy this about working with a bunch of non-professionally trained guys. Who referred to yourself and Davey Hyde and Roddy and those guys. I mean, the guy goes to school for. We talked about this. He went to school. He gets a. I don't even remember what it was. It'll be in the archive. He gets a degree on this. He's like got his whole life ahead of him, and then like for 15 years, he's like just putting out fire. So I'm going to reverse this question and give you fair chance to respond to that. Has there ever been a time on air where you got Tommy out of a jam?
Yeah.
And we'd go there on this show. I mean, we had Eric Lopez saying that trucks were running into the classic stage and they were weighing it in thinking the stage was going to collapse. I mean, if we could go there, you could tell the time you got Tommy out of the jam on air.
Not to throw out a New England's Patriots reference right here, but the whole group, Tommy is like the Tom Brady, Mike McInnes. I've said this to Mike. Mike knows this. Mike is, you know this, Jeffries. Mike is a man of few words. When he has to say something, somebody's either going to get lit up or it's going to be something that's fairly profound to what we're doing. He is the Bill Belichick of this group. And the rest of us buffoons are exactly what you said, Panger. I'm going to remember that line. Tommy, what's it like to work with a bunch of unprofessional coworkers? I love that, Panger. But here's the thing. It's very true. If there's ever a time this is so long ago when we would there was a certain executive producer that was not, we did not hit it off real. I don't think Tommy, he was just that guy.
Keep going, Z.
That guy, okay? That guy. And he would kind of poke Tommy a little bit. And I would poke that producer back a lot because it would piss me off. Look, Tommy, just let him do what he's doing because he is saving the broadcast from the first broadcast I did 20 years ago all the way to the St. Lawrence River in so many ways. So I would say if I ever got, it wasn't more I got him out of a jam. It's more that it was entertainment for Tommy when I would go back at that certain producer, and some of my coworkers know exactly. He is long gone. He is long gone. He is probably hugging one of his Emmys somewhere.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. Tommy liked that. Tommy liked that one. Tommy liked that one.
Wow. Hey, when is the last time that you fished in a tournament, be it the Thursday night jackpot or whatever? Can you remember, Z?
Big tournament was Champlain. It was an open back in, gosh, I don't know, 2005?
05? I got your stats pulled up right here. Zona was good. He won $80,000 in 20 events and had 8 top 10 finishes and a whole bunch of seconds.
Yeah, thanks, Banger. Unprofessional and a whole bunch of seconds.
Oh, here it is. I got it pulled up. I got to read this line. Yeah. Here's the title. This is from, was this your last one? No, this is from September 27th, 2003 by Gary Mortensen. FLW. Zona comes in second. ... Again. That's a shot right there. That's the title of it. ... Again.
The worst shot was when my wife actually got me a license plate that said.
Oh, don't say it. That's in this press release. I got to just read this whole paragraph here.
You don't have to either.
Mark the Z-Man, which as you I guess as you became more famous, you just dropped the. I wonder how many years that took.
Banger, you're really pissing me off today. Right?
The Z-Man Zona has already developed a reputation as, quote, Mr. Second Place. This guy is just giving it to you.
Yeah.
In 2002 Everstar Championship, Zona tied for the second largest stringer ever. Zona also found himself walking away with 2 second-place trophies, which are now in the trash can, in the first 3 events in the 2003 Everstart Northern Division season, missing out on the title by exactly 1 ounce. In fact, second place has become so ingrained in the Zona household that his wife even went out and bought him a customized license plate that read Zona-2. The good-natured jab for being the bridesmaid, and then it says that you did amazing, that you were very happy with it, that you were very complimentary of the winner, and that you were not disappointed at all.
That was BS. I didn't mean any of that crap back then. I didn't. Hey, I remember Gary Mortensen, and he's actually probably working with that same executive producer that we know.
Wait, so this is what it says in the article further down. You were using 2 drift socks in that tournament. 2.
Yes.
Now, is the drift sock the biggest lost art of northern fishing with the paddles and the trolling motors and everything we got going now?
This is dead serious, Panger. I do not. I grew up with drift socks. I used them up till 15 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, and with drift paddles, with spot lock and stuff like that. I do not even own one anymore. And that's what's weird is, back in the day, guys like Joe Baylog, and we all grew up together. We all grew up together, and we're all kind of mentored under, Steve Clapper on Lake Erie, and that's how we fished. What's weird was watching Mueller and Chris Johnston, and it's hard to explain to those kids, and it's weird to say that, but we fished by feel out on those reefs. We'd get up on the top end of those reefs, and you have viewers watching this right now. You throw your drift bags out. Charlie Hartley, he has drifted over 90,000 miles with a drift bag. And our electronics sucked so bad back in the day, you did all of your learning by feel. All by feel. And there was no mapping. There was none of that. But as time's gone on, you have mapping, you have spot lock, you have drift paddles. To where it is right now, it's terrifying to where it will be in another decade.
And I ask that because Chris Johnson, had it been 12 to 15 years ago on that final day, would have been using a drift sock. Because 100%. He talks about how he went out, he caught him, and then he drift, and then he had to pull back up to his spot and drift back down.
100%.
And I almost thought we might see it broken out on the final day, which, the last time was Buffalo in like 2011 or 10 that I remember one being used.
I really think the time that you may see a drift sock again is if we go to one of those big fisheries, a St. Clair, a Buffalo, an Ontario, Sturgeon Bay, wherever it is if you have a mechanical issue, if you have a trolling motor issue or stuff like that, that drift sock is what will save you to this day. No doubt about it. I remember that Gary Mortensen, you brought up where I lost by an ounce. I lost by an ounce to David Dudley in a tournament. And I'll never forget this going the way. And I was, Panger, you know this. You're fresh out of college, newly married, stuff like that. I remember him asking me at the weigh-in, he's like, wow, what is it like to lose by an ounce? And I looked at him, I'm like, is that really a question, Gary? Do you want an answer? We were staying at a casino up in Lake Vermilion, Minnesota. I said, why don't you come in the lounge to happy hour? We'll talk about it for a while.
Wow. All right. Several people on the instant feedback want to know, do you think we will have NFL football this year?
Gosh, going back to Mike Golick, I asked him, we got to go fishing. We got to go fishing a month ago. I asked him, you guys are the same, boy, whether it's college football or NFL football. I asked Golick that, and his exact answers were yes, 100%. And hopefully nothing, you don't see any of the explosion of cases, that we can keep going. What's strange is I saw a Pittsburgh Pirates game. It has nothing to do with the football. I saw a Pittsburgh Pirates game where an ump and a manager got into a screaming match yesterday, and the ump ran up to the coach and put his mask on before screaming at him. It was so awkwardly great.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah.
Strange times. Hope so. Hope we do. It sports are I've talked about that, Jeffries, I've talked about this with you. Sports and fishing and hunting, to me, is what kind of keeps a lot of us really sane daily, day to day. So hope that, nice thing is we got fishing and we got hunting. Hope the rest of it comes back to play.
All right. Many people want to know, can you throw us a bone on some of the stuff we can expect either on Zona Live or on your television show to look forward to?
We had to be safe and smart when we were taping throughout a lot of what was going on. And we've got more said me never. We have more shows shot right now than we have in years past. But we went to a lot of places last season, and this season that we had never taped before. And we did that. We definitely did that this time around. But Zona Live is probably not gonna crank off until we get a little bit more through August to where the schedule settles down. But I think the two places that I have picked for Zona Live will potentially be very rough, but it should be really good fishing.
Arkansas River and Pittsburgh.
I don't see that, Panger. Panger, I'm gonna tell you what I've learned about Zona Live. What I've learned about Zona Live. Be where they're biting. Be where they're biting. Yes.
Yeah.
If they're not biting on Zona Live, it makes baby cry. Bad.
Hey man, do you think you'll retire in Michigan? Seriously.
Oh, I hope Karen's watching right now. No.
Okay.
I really love me. I love me. But you've been to my house, Jeffries.
Yeah.
I love Michigan from April until November, and I don't like Michigan from December to March. It is. I'm not a big snow guy at all. In fact, I gave up. I gave up on shoveling snow. It's something I quit. I don't do it anymore. It's not my gig. It's just not my gig. But I really would love to be in. I'd love to be in Southeast Texas. I love going to Texas. I love fishing in Texas. She will text me. We are absolutely never going to be in Texas. But hey man, I'm not scared of Tulsa. I'm not. I am not scared of the 405.
Legend could be your neighbor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just don't let any cats go in his front yard. They're fair game.
Yeah, he is not a cat guy.
So I don't know. I'd like to be somewhere a little bit, less violent in the winter months. Really. Yes.
Wow. All right, Matt. Anything else for Z, dude? It's been
great.
It's
all good. I greatly appreciate it. So, what do you think? Over or under 80 pounds? Is it going to take 20 a day to get this job done?
Absolutely.
Not 100. Between 80 and 90.
No, I'd say if you throw it at that 21-ish a day, I think if you get around that 84 pounds, you're going to be spot on. And somewhere during Bassmaster Live, I'm going to ask Tommy on ESPN2, what has it been like to work with such unprofessional coworkers around you, Panger? I'm going to get that out for you.
I believe that's a paraphrase quote. In my full defense, all I'm saying is he is professionally trained, whereas the majority of the other people in this entire industry are not professionally trained in the media. Like, did you go to school to do this, Mark?
No.
I
didn't either.
I went to 4 years of drama, Panger.
Oh, you did?
No, not at all. No, I didn't.
See? But, oh, gosh, the life working, it's unbelievable that you had me.
All right, Z, last question for me. If we set up a one-on-one live between Matthew Pangrak and Ronnie Moore. Who wins? Who wins?
8 hours, 5 fish limit. No hanky-panky. I mean, like, serious show up, fish, neutral lake.
If we went to where I took young Ron Moore yesterday, he stands a chance. The problem with Ron, let me tell you about Ronnie, okay? Is Ronnie, when he catches one, great angler, but Ronnie starts to slightly, like when he hooks a big one, he starts to speak in tongues. Like he doesn't, like when he's in studio, he puts complete sentences together. But when Ronnie hooks a big one, he turns into an 8-year-old speaking in tongues where he can't, like, there is not a single thought. There's not a single thought. There's like 100 thoughts coming out of his mouth. That's where I give you the edge, Panger.
But I have total meltdowns.
Oh, yeah.
So
Massive
it's
meltdown.
like if something doesn't go right for me, while Ronnie catches a big one, it's an impasse.
This is something I'd actually like to help Jeffries commentate if we get to that day.
That would be cool.
I didn't say
that
I'd
would
do
be
it.
Cool.
I mean, I said I'd enjoy doing it. I mean, I'm...
Yeah.
Hey, there are some fisheries along that Arkansas-Oklahoma border that I mean, I'm up in Tulsa now. It's not that far of a drive.
I think we could pull something like this off. I really do.
Yeah.
Am I going to throw out my pick? No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to let the cat. I'm not going to give the juice before this event takes place. But I'm going to tell you, this is like it. It would go back to what I told you I was watching before this. It'd be like a slap fight, a slap contest. It really would by the end of it.
It's kind of cool. I mean, I remember we had the college bass zone when that was going on, and there was this dude from the school that was purple.
Yeah.
That was always sending stuff in and all that. And then he sent a message. He's like, hey, I got an internship at Bassmaster. And then I remember it. And now he's like, he's got a career.
If Ronnie could keep the wheels on mentally in this event, he's got a shot. The wheels could come off if he catches one big one. Because here's what I'll tell you. Ronnie is one of those guys, and I've watched him. And you know this guy. When you put a big one in the live well, he likes to open the live well and look at it for like 3 or 4 hours where he's like, look at him. He's mad. He's ready to bite a frog again.
Susceptible to trash talk. Like if I slow rolled him and maybe got in his head a little bit, yes or no? Is that possible?
I think you could. I think you could. I think you could definitely do that. So yeah.
We'll see.
Hold on. Ronnie's walking in right now. He's also mad at me. This is so bad.
Why is Ronnie mad at you?
I think Ronnie would more than likely win. I think Ronnie would more. So good.
That's not what he was saying, Ronnie. Oh, he showed his bass palm. He's already trash talking. He just showed his bass palm.
Look, he went to an aquarium yesterday, okay?
He's not that guy there looking at who jumped in the Bass Pro Tank, is he?
Look, I didn't think he was here yet.
Okay.
I thought the kid is addicted. This is no joke. We were fishing yesterday, and all he was doing was talking to me about playing Call of Duty. I'm like, hey, just so you know, we're catching 6 to 8 pounders right now. He's like, yeah, mentally, I'm already in my game tonight.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. All right, man. Well, hopefully someday in the near future we can make that happen.
Yes,
I'd love to see that happen.
I'm in, and I will wear that scarf with the golden nugget.
Yeah.
I will wear it. I'll be all in.
I quit the one-on-ones.
I'm gonna have a lot of flair. I'm gonna have a lot of flair.
Jeffries has the crown right now. He beat me.
Yeah, that was one time in 8 years, though.
Yes, I had heard that though.
Yeah,
do me a favor. It's a lot like when I won that belt against Drew Benton and Davey Height.
Mm-hmm.
I have not had a second match. You want to know why? Because I ain't going to get rid of that belt. I ain't big on trophies or plaques, but I like them belts.
Don't throw away the belt.
I ain't going to do that.
All right, man. As always, just great to catch up with you, Z. Awesome stuff, and thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Hey, honestly, you guys, I miss seeing you. We don't get to see each other as much anymore, but we'll get back together soon. You guys are awesome. Thanks for having me on.
All right, man. Take care. Tell Tommy we said hello.
I will. He's wearing his mask. Dude. Listen, it's interesting, but it's been a weird year for everybody, all of your viewers, and I mean this. Stay healthy and stay safe.
All right. Take care, man.
See you, bud.
There you have it. Mark Zona, folks. Great stuff there. And
I feel like Tommy's mask might have like a Louis Vuitton print on it or something.
No.
He's cultured, though. Like, we've already established that.
Yeah.
He's a professional.
No, that's good stuff. All right, we're going to wrap things up here on a Tuesday. Folks, if you want to take part in the watch party on Thursday, no show tomorrow. We'll be back on Thursday with the watch party. Going to crank it up at 9 a.m. Send me an email, mark@basszone.com, and I will send you a link either this evening or tomorrow. All you got to do is click on that link. You'll be thrown into the queue once you activate your video and your mic. Please make sure that you have a good internet connection. This will not work if you do not have at least a high-speed internet connection. If you're using your phone, you can use your phone as long as you have a 4G connection with at least a couple bars to where the signal is very stable. All right, Matthew, anything else, man? Who's your pick?
No, that's all I got.
Who's your pick?
For Champlain?
Yeah.
Well,
just give me one name.
After that tournament, after that interview with Zona, it's hard not to pick fighter, but nostalgia.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Kennedy make a run at this thing.
I agree.
He's coming off a great
here.
tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's one of the best in the world who's had a tough couple years. if there's anybody who can throw it together, and I think mentally he's there because he loves being up north, the camping, the scenic views. He's up there for 2 weeks. I think Kennedy's going to be a factor in this one.
I agree. I'd love to see Steve win, and he really, really does well on Lake Champlain. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap things up. I want to thank Mark Zona for taking time out of his busy schedule to give us some insight on the SLR and Lake Champlain. So thank you, Mark. Watch party with Mark Menendez Thursday. Send me an email, mark@basszone.com. We will get you hooked up to where you can take part in the watch party on Thursday. That's it, everybody. We are out of here.